Generally speaking, March, April, and May are the wettest months during the baseball and softball seasons here in the U.S. And to ensure your infield recuperates quickly from a rain event, we need to keep a close eye on the surface grade of the infield skin to make sure that the rainwater can drain off uninhibited. That means no high spots like lips that can dam the water, and no low areas where water can sit and soften up the infield skin base soil. The water needs to consistently be moving off that surface. So let's show you how to check for these issues on your ball field, starting with monitoring your lips. Now I'm on the downhill side of the infield skin, so water drains in this direction towards the shallow part of the outfield. When water drains this way in a really heavy rainstorm, it's going to bring some of this material with it, typically, and you're going to see some of that get flushed into along this grass edge here, which forms a lip. Other things that can cause that to happen, of course, is getting a little away from yourself when it comes to dragging and throwing material into the grass lip. All these things work to build up this lip. And the way to check to see if you have an existing lip is to take a level like this and put it down here and check and see if you're going to get any kind of a teeter-totter effect. You know, if you had a lip in there, it might do this kind of thing. Or it might stick up like this, or whatever the case may be. Here, in this case on this field, you see we've got a nice clean transition between the dirt and the grass. There's no tripping hazard here, and most importantly, there's no dam effect here that's going to stop the water from moving off this infield down into the outfield grass where we want it to continuously move off the playing surface. Now, here's a corner of that infield, and you're looking at the foul line there, and it's giving you an indication that there is a situation where the grade is not consistent from the dirt into the grass. You can see there's a little hump there on that foul line, and that's a pretty good indicator that you've got a grade issue right at that point. And if we take our level and do the same thing that we did before, you can see by the way that that's sticking up on the left side that we indeed have a grade situation where we don't have a consistently smooth transition. This is going to prohibit the water from draining off easily onto the grass area. So this would be a case of this portion of the back part of the infield where the grade needs to be corrected. That lip being taken out, you'd cut out the sod, drop that elevation down where the grass is, put the sod back so that you've got a nice, convenient, and consistent grade along that back edge. All right, now in checking the infield lip edges to see how they are performing, we set up a level up just like we did on the back side. We're going to check for any kind of hills or you know, teeter-tottering of that level if we've got any kind of a lip. And sitting it down here, you can see this is the infield grass, this is the infield skin. Water is supposed to be moving this way. This should be a smooth transition between the grass and the infield dirt, and you can see we don't really have any rocking of the slope, or of the level rather. And actually, if I look at the bubble, it's showing just a very slight slope in that direction, which is what we want it to be. We want the water to move continuously across this surface, unimpeded by lips that are formed on the back or the front of the infield skin. So this is great. I've checked most of the edges along this infield. They look pretty good. The only issues are right in the corners on the outfield edge. So we can now, knowing that, we can check this with string lines, running a string line across our infield skin to see where we might have high spots, that slow water movement across that infield skin, or act as a dam, or low spots where water might sit and soften those areas. We want a consistent surface all the way across. So let's check that out next. Okay, we've set up our string line. The pin is 6 inches in on the front end of the infield. We're going to tie the string off here on the back side. And I'm using here a solid cord cotton. Some people call it clothesline cord, but it's got really good stretch to it. And the key to checking these grades is making sure that you get this string as tight as possible without breaking it. The tighter the string, the more accurate the read. If this is just loose on here, obviously that string's going to sag and not give you a good reading. So we want to make sure we get this good and tight on the pin. Tie this off and really get this to give us a good read. Then we want to make sure that this string here is down to the ground. We just tap that pin in, and we use this grass edge here as your reference point for the grade. We're going to do the same thing on the front, up there. All right, again, on the front edge here, we want this string touching this grass edge because that's our reference point. So we push this down till it's nice and tight. Now, we're going to use the sun and the string line to check our surface grade. All right, now with our string line set up, you can see how easy this this solid braid corded string is. A little bit easier to see than some of the strings I've seen other groundskeepers use. And you need that visibility, and you need that thick of a cord, because what we rely on is the sun to drop shadows off that string line so you can see where you're high and you're low. So if we pull back here and I get back into the middle of this infield, you can see that we don't see any shadow for the most part. It's pretty tight to the ground, indicating that it's either at grade or slightly above grade. And as I go along this string line and I get down to the back portion of it here, as we approach the back side of the infield, here you can see the nice drop of a shadow of a low area towards the back of the infield. Now this is also right where the second baseman, just to the left of where the second baseman plays. So naturally it would typically be a little low, but you see how that shadow drops in there. This is why you always want to do this on a sunny day. Very hard to do on a cloudy day. You have to be a real expert at this, and if you do this enough, like we used to do back in the old days when I was groundskeeping in Major League Baseball, you know, we could do that, but it takes a lot of experience to read it on a cloudy day. So you want to take advantage of the sun and do it on a sunny day. Those shadows just make it very simple. But you see here, we're back on the infield, right towards the where the second baseman would normally place himself for the play, and we've got that low area. Now, that may not be as low as we think it is, because if this is high here in the center, which I believe it is, you can see a crown if you step back. As you see, it drops in the front there just a little bit. It's a little low in the runner's lane, but again, that might be being lifted up because it's a little high in the center here. So if I was to come in here and try and grade this down, if this is a localized area on an infield where I've got a low area that's holding water down on the back end, I might check and see if this is high in the middle. If it is, what you do first is you come in and you scrape this down along this string line and pull it back to where it's low back there, and pull a little bit of it back up to where it's low up in the front there. You cut down the high area, you fill the low area, and that's how you check it. Now, you know, obviously if your whole infield was this bad, well, even though this isn't really that bad of an infield, but if your whole infield is askew, you know, you're probably going to bring somebody in to laser grade it. But doing it by hand, you can do, you know, areas that might be really bad that are holding water. And typically those are going to be usually in the back, because you've got lips along there that it's a dam. But we don't have that issue here. So it's strictly going to be grade, okay? That lower area back there where the second baseman's playing is definitely going to be a place where it could hold water. So we want to make sure we try and address that. Either putting in more material in there, or better yet, first adjusting this grade, making sure we get this little bit of a hump out of this area here in the center, and taking care of this little bit of a low area in the runner's lane here. When working with a totally skinned infield, you're going to set a center pin right behind the pitching rubber of the farthest pitching rubber away from home plate. Then from there you'll run a string line out to the back arc of the infield, and you'll just take that string line and pivot it around all the way around that circle like hands on a clock in order to check the surface grade all the way around that infield. So how would I address this? If I know I've got this high area in the middle, a little bit low up front and more low down the back, I would come out here and nail drag this entire portion of this infield here, deeply nail drag it, put my string line back in place, and use a rake or better yet a level board and pull from the high areas, the known high areas, and feather it out into the low areas, okay? I pull a little bit up here to take care of this little bit of low area here, pull the rest of this down towards the back side to backfill it back in here. Most of the soil that's out here, you know, if it gets low, it's still on this infield somewhere, okay? How do I know that? Because I don't have any lips along the back edge there. So we know that that soil wasn't getting deposited in the lips. So it's been remanipulated out into the center here somehow by dragging or some other purpose of what they were working with on this infield that caused that soil to work into the middle, possibly. Or maybe it was left that way when it was graded in the first place. Either way, we know that we've probably got a slight high area along here, and actually in checking the rest of the infield I found the same thing in most areas. It was high in the middle and low on the back end and a little bit up on the front end in the runner's area. So this is an easily fixed process. Use the string lines to identify troubled areas or identify the problem, and then from there you can create a plan to loosen the material and manipulate it to get it where you need it to go. The prime goal of a groundskeeper is to keep this surface grade so that water is moving across and draining it. We never want to drain an infield by having water go through the infield dirt. It's too slow, and in order to get water to go through the dirt, you'd have to have this infield material a little looser, and that's not conducive to play or maintenance of this infield. So we want a firm infield, and then we want a good surface grade. So if you do what we looked at today, making sure that your lips are in check and you don't have a buildup along the lips, and you keep that surface grade correct, using these tools that we did to check the grade and addressing those problems, you should be successful in keeping your infield well drained and recuperating after a rain fairly quickly.